Good morning, everybody. Today I'd like to share something with you. Just a couple of days ago, when it was full moon, I had this feeling I wanted to do a fire ritual, just to be grateful and say thanks to the old circle and inviting in a new circle. So as the day went by, it was already full moon during the day, and I knew it's all coming up. All sorts of the mind told me, no, don't do it. And having excuses for doing everything else, but just not preparing for this fire ritual later in the evening. So I went on and did what I thought I had to do. And it went later and later, and suddenly the sunset it was dark, and there was still that feeling you need to do your fire ritual. And the mind said, oh, you can just sit there and the moon is coming up, so you're just meditating, and that's perfectly okay. And so it goes on till suddenly it says, like, no, you're going to do the fire ritual now. And it was a very strong feeling that just pulled me along and made me do it. So as I was preparing it, and it was dark already, I had loads of fears that I felt that came up. It hadn't rained for so long. It was very dry, everything. What is if the whole thing caught fire? And what is if the smoke blows into the neighbor's window? And maybe it's not allowed here in Italy to do fire, you know? And all sorts of things. So I had to battle all motions of fears of why I shouldn't do it. So that was the thinking part of the mind preventing me of doing it. Whilst my feeling clearly said you need to do it. Anyway, I got a little fire sorted. I dug a little hole in the ground just to be safe. I had the water ready just in case. And starting off with a small little fire. And as I felt safer and safer to guard the fire, to be in control of the fire, I started to put some more. It started to grow, and I put more wood in and more wood in. And then I sat down and really gone through the whole motion of what I feel. And it was just fear. Fear of all sorts of things that I felt trying to prevent me of not doing the fire out of whatever reason. And you know, in nature, it is part for man. If you're out in nature, if you can't make fire, you're doomed. That's it. You have to be able to somehow create fire to survive. And in our real world, symbolically meaning now what the fire is for, to burn the old, to give warmth and strength going into the future, into the uncertainty, but also transform all of that. So I'm transforming the fears, the mind, into freedom and liberation. Anyway, I had an amazing night, and I think I was till 1 o'clock out there burning the fire, and more liberation, more joy, more happiness came out, and I was proud of myself that I actually did a fire. Bloody hell, 42 years of age, but yeah, that was because that was an initiation. I did the fire by myself. I was responsible for it, and I got it done. So, and now to the story. This was what initially happened to me. So now I decided, wow, I now become vulnerable and make a statement or an act of intimacy towards my partner. So I told her about it. She asked me in the next morning, so how was your evening? How was your fire ritual? And I said, you know what? It was amazing. And it was amazing because I had to go through so much fear to get there. I died 1,000 deaths to finally achieve something really enjoyable and expansive as just doing a fire. And it is exactly in this moment, I had this feeling all along, and then the mind comes in and prevents this, because the mind wants security and the mind wants safety, and it wants certainty in particular. What is if you suddenly do fire? And if you know that you can do fire, what will it change in your whole life? So the mind prevents this and trying to not allow this to actually happen. So then you choose love, you choose liberation. You choose what you feel, and you go and do it. And in the experience, and if you breathe, and if you're slow, and if you really feel all that wants to come through in this moment, then you get a lot of awareness and insights. Know thyself. I mean, this is the highest good. So as I did this, I had the choice to really face all of who I am. And I told that my partner, and I said, look, this is me. And the spiritual bypass, for example, or the blaming game, as we become aware of our internal structure, of our deficiencies, of our insecurities, about our facades that we're playing out, not wanting to be vulnerable, or is purely the fact that we blame other people for it. Oh, I'm like this because my father. I'm like this because of my mother, or because of my childhood, or because this and that happened to me. And this is the big thing. When we go into intimacy, the danger is that we tell a story as an act of intimacy to state and make known, and blame something else for it. So we're offloading a story, right, that we define ourselves by, giving ourselves permission to stay in our limitation, right? So the danger in intimacy, to state and make known, to communicate what's really going on, is to take the story, take the origin of your fears, and offload them as a story, as an excuse of that's why you are that way. Well, because of my parents, my upbringing, my society, school, religion, society, whatever it is. And the point is, when you don't go into blame, but you take full self-responsibility for yourself and make an act of intimacy, of just purely stating who you are without any facades. That is intimacy. And that's where you can change things, because you're not blaming, you're not making someone else responsible for it. You're just truly and utterly saying, in this moment of time, I am this person with all these faults, with all these insecurities, vulnerabilities, and so on. So in this moment, the benefit and the results by being that, by really showing up truly of who you are, with all your fears, with all this what has gone on, you gain more insights and awareness of who you are. And also you're growing with it. Your partner that you're being intimate to sees you growing, and they also get to know you better. So therefore, when this happens, growth, personal expansion, and progress, that's success ultimately, isn't it? It's not in terms of money, but it's how are you growing? How are you becoming closer to your fullest potential self? How can you express yourself in all that way? And that's success. And success is sexy. So if your partner finds you sexy, and if you feel sexy, then what? Yeah, you will have a closer and deeper connection, and you will bond deeper, and you will enjoy more physical intimacy on the basis of being the truth of who you are, of choosing love, all that you are, with all your vulnerabilities. So it is really, really important to take full responsibility just for the now. How do you feel in this moment of time? What have you become aware of? What are the insides of yourself? And then, of course, as you go through this theme, what has come up, you can also see how it interconnects in all other aspects of your life. What it does to your business, what it does to your money making, what it does to your relating to man, relating to woman. You'll get afterwards the connections, and with this awareness and insights, it has a knock-on effect to everything else in your life. So intimacy, as it's fundamental, is really to state and make known all that you are in this moment of time, without taking blame towards anybody, of being self-responsible, that right now you have chosen to hold on to this belief, you've chosen to hold on to this behavior pattern, and now you say, okay, now it's time to get out of secrecy, to get out of silence, and to communicate that, to be seen of who you are. And in this moment, as we call it, in a child healing or whatever, we're truly being able seen, and we're being lifted up because it doesn't hold us back anymore. And that's the great unraveling of intimacy. So whatever you do, slow down, because I think this is the first importance that you need to do, is to slow down so that you can feel, that you can reconnect to your inner voice. If that is the voice in your stomach, or if that's the voice in your genitals, right? That will tell you something about the other person that the mind cannot comprehend. But the body knows, that intuition, that inner feeling, that inner wisdom of you, that knows. And when you feel that, you can make decisions based on your feeling, not on your mind, which is trying to limit and control you and keep you safe and certain. But as you choose love, there is no certainty to it. It's completely uncertain what's happened, because things come up. And with that, you gain awareness of insights. If you share them on the basis, this is who I am right now, you're creating an incredible act of vulnerability towards your partner. And the result is that that partner, sooner or later, as more acts of intimacy you do, you can hope for reciprocity. And when that happens, when you can both tell and communicate your feelings of what you feel with all that is you, that means you're taking off the facades and you're really communicating them. When that happens, you have a true intimate relationship, i.e. you're stating and make known all of who you are. You're speaking your truth. And what happens when you do this? Everything else becomes so much deeper, so much more emotional, so much more expansive. I.e. physical intimacy is just a result. You can't be physical intimate with someone without communicating. This is the big problem that many people think, that they think the body's language. You don't need to talk, you just need to do. And this is a huge danger, because you're not allowing yourself to be seen. You're just winging it. You're trying to get away by it, of not having to speak out, not communicating and unraveling and expressing yourself through our communication channels. So that was a little story, a little act of intimacy about me, what's going on and how I deal and walk the talk about intimacy. And ultimately it's choosing love. It's choosing love, the uncertainty, what is, if you can allow these things to come through, you feel them, and you make them known to your environment and to your beloveds, and you reap the benefits of so much more depth of connection. And certainly with your beloveds, physical intimacy will be a much expanded thing, an invitation, so that the other people become vulnerable in your life too. So if nobody or very few people carry facades around them, what a wonderful life. I wish you a wonderful Tuesday. Have a great week, and speak to you soon. Thanks for checking in. Bye.